When you hear Jesus say, "If you love me, keep my commandments," do you hear encouragement, or do you start feeling some pressure to start doing some good works? Well, let's talk about that on today's Midweek Meditation. Hi, I'm Pastor Matt Doebler, pastor of Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church in Norfolk, Virginia. We are part of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, that's the LCMS for short. And if you're ever vacationing here up in the Tidewater, Virginia Beach area, or if you're moving here, because a lot of people move here because they're part of our armed forces, we would love to have you come and visit us. You can find out more about our congregation by going to our website. That's TLC, Trinity Lutheran Church, tlcnorfolk.com. Well, twice in our reading from John 14, Jesus says that those who love him will keep his commandments. Now, how exactly are we supposed to hear this? Well, one option would be to hear Jesus' words as a kind of a motivational challenge, as in, prove that you love me by keeping my commandments. Prove how much you love me by showing me how obedient you can be. And if we hear Jesus' words this way, then Jesus kind of becomes something like that kindergarten teacher who puts up the chart with the names of all the kids in the class, and then when you do something right, it puts a gold star or a silver star right beside your name. And she could always tell who the teacher's pet was just by looking at the chart. There was one or two kids, it was never me, but there was always those one or two kids whose stars went all the way to the end and sometimes wrapped around. Those were the highly motivated kids. Those were the ones trying to do everything the teacher said exactly right. And everybody knew who those kids were. It was on the chart. But that's not what Jesus is saying here, right? And so remember the context of John 14. Jesus is in the upper room with the disciples. And so he has just washed their feet. He's just demonstrated that he is the one who has come to serve them. He is the greatest among them who has become the least of all. And now he's going to the cross where he will bleed and die for the sins of these men and for the whole world. In other words, Jesus is going to the cross to prove his love for them. So he's not now asking them to prove their love for him. He's not asking them, in fact, to prove anything. Certainly not by their obedience. In fact, later in John's gospel, when Jesus restores Peter, remember Peter, the disciple who denied Jesus 3 times? Jesus asked him, "Peter, do you love me?" And what does Peter say? Does Peter say, "Well, yes, Lord. Of course I love you. Look at all my gold stars. Look at how obedient I've been"? Of course not. Peter just simply says, "Lord, you know that I love you." Peter doesn't point to himself because he knows that would be folly. Instead, he appeals to the one who has already demonstrated just how much Peter is loved. "Lord, you know." So then, if Jesus is not trying to motivate the disciples to prove their love through their obedience, then how should we hear these words? "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Well, what's interesting here is that Jesus' words sound very similar to the words that King Solomon speaks to his son in the opening chapters of Proverbs. And that's because Jesus is actually using wisdom language. So the word keep here doesn't simply mean to obey. Of course, it can include and does include obedience, but to keep something means more than that. It means to guard it, to hold on to it, to treasure it, because it is precious and life-giving. In Proverbs, Solomon pours out his heart to his son, and over he says things like, "My son, keep my words close to you. Guard wisdom. Hold on to instruction." Why? Because these are the words that lead to life. Listen to Solomon and the way that he speaks in Proverbs 3, for example. He says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments." Sound familiar? "For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you." And then he says again, "My son, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble." But then he says this, "Do not forsake wisdom, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you." Hear what Solomon is saying here? When you cling to wisdom, wisdom ultimately keeps and guards you. And this is exactly what Jesus is saying to his disciples. He's saying, love me in this way. Hold on to my words. Guard them. Treasure them. Believe that I am the voice of the Father, the wisdom of God now revealed to you in human flesh. Keep my words, Jesus is saying, because my words will keep you. In my words, there is life. If you keep them, you'll walk securely. Your foot will not stumble, and your sleep will be sweet. Wow, what a comfort. Well, there's so much more to say about this passage, and I really look forward to walking through it with you this coming Sunday. And so, until then, the Lord be with you.